Blood. Dust. A woman's voice begging, "Please, don't leave me." Ethan Walker's hands shake as he tears off his tie, the one his late wife bought him, and wraps it around a stranger's leg. Behind him, his phone buzzes. Interview in 15 minutes. This job could save his son's future. But this woman, she's dying right now. One choice, 2 lives. Everything hangs in the balance. If you want to see how one impossible decision changes everything, hit that subscribe button and stay until the very end. Drop a comment with your city, so I can see how far this story, "Daddy, are we gonna be okay?" Ethan Walker froze his hand halfway to the doorknob. Noah stood in the hallway of their cramped Oakland apartment, superhero backpack hanging off one small shoulder, those big brown eyes. Sarah's eyes staring up at him with a question no 7-year-old should have to ask. "What do you mean, buddy?" "I heard you on the phone last night. You said we're 3 months behind on rent." Christ. The walls in this place were paper thin, and Ethan thought he'd been quiet. He crouched down, making himself eye level with his son. "That's grown-up stuff. You don't need to worry about that." "But I do worry," Noah's voice cracked. "Tommy's dad lost his job and they had to move away. I don't want to move away. I like my school. I like Mrs. Chen." Ethan pulled Noah into a hug, feeling his boy's small body trembling. 3 years since Sarah's accident, and some days it felt like yesterday. Other days it felt like a lifetime. But every single day, Ethan woke up terrified he'd fail this kid. That he'd break the promise he made to Sarah in that hospital room, holding her hand as the machines beeped their final countdown. "Take care of our boy. Give him the life we planned." He hadn't been doing a great job of that lately. "Listen to me," Ethan said, pulling back to look at Noah. "Today's interview. This is it. This is the big one. Montgomery and Associates. They're one of the best engineering firms in the country, and they want to meet me. Not just some HR person, but the director herself called me directly." "Really? Really? Your old man's pretty smart when it comes to bridges and buildings. Mom always said you were a genius." "Your mom said a lot of nice things." Ethan's throat tightened. "But she wasn't wrong about this. I'm good at what I do, Noah. Real good. And today, someone important is finally going to see that." Noah threw his arms around Ethan's neck. "You're gonna get it, Dad. I know you are." "From your mouth to God's ears, buddy." The school bus honked outside. Noah grabbed his backpack, then turned back one more time. "Dad, even if you don't get the job, we're still gonna be okay, right?" Ethan forced his biggest smile. "We're always gonna be okay. That's a promise." The door clicked shut, and Ethan's smile died. He looked around the apartment, peeling paint furniture from Goodwill. The stack of overdue bills on the counter he kept shoving in a drawer so Noah wouldn't see them. 3 months behind on rent was the tip of the iceberg. There was the electric bill, the water bill, Noah's school expenses, the car that needed new brakes, the medical debt from Sarah's accident that still haunted him. He walked to the bathroom mirror and stared at himself. 34 years old, wearing a suit he'd bought at a thrift store for $12, holding a portfolio his dead wife had given him when he graduated MIT top of his class. That felt like another lifetime. Another person. His phone buzzed. A text from his landlord. "Ethan, I've been patient. But I need something this week or I have to start eviction proceedings. I'm sorry." Eviction. The word hit him like a punch to the gut. He'd survived MIT on scholarship, survived losing his parents in college, survived Sarah's death and learning to be a single dad, but losing their home. Having Noah watch their stuff get put on the curb, that might break them both. No, not today. Today was different. He grabbed his keys, checked the time. 8:30. Interview at 10 downtown San Francisco. He'd mapped it out. BART train 3-block walk, arrive by 9:45. Plenty of time to compose himself. Review his portfolio, mentally prepare. He had no idea how wrong everything was about to go. The BART train was standing room only, packed with morning commuters, who all looked as tired and defeated as Ethan felt most days. He wedged himself near the door, gripping the overhead bar, mentally running through his prepared answers. Tell me about a time you overcame a significant challenge. Well, my wife died when our son was 4, leaving me to raise him alone while working 60-hour weeks for half what I'm worth. I've overcome that challenge every single day for 3 years. But you can't say that in an interview. You had to talk about project deadlines and team conflicts and other corporate nonsense. His phone buzzed again. Mrs. Chen. Noah got to school safe. He told me about your big interview. I'm praying for you, Ethan. You deserve this. Deserve. That was a funny word. Ethan had worked harder than anyone he knew. Published papers, won awards, developed innovations that other companies had stolen and made millions from while he got a pat on the back. He'd watched less talented men get promoted over him, watched connections and politics matter more than skill. But today was supposed to be different. Claire Montgomery had called him personally. Mr. Walker, I've reviewed your portfolio and your work on the Bay Bridge retrofit proposal. It's exceptional. We'd like to meet with you about a senior engineering position. Senior. Not junior, not associate, not entry level. Senior. With a salary that could change everything. Could pay off the debt, catch up on rent. Put Noah in a better school. Maybe even save for college. The train lurched out of the tunnel into daylight. San Francisco spread before them glittering towers of glass and steel monuments to success and ambition. Somewhere in one of those buildings, Claire Montgomery was probably already in her office reviewing resumes, deciding futures. Ethan's future, Noah's future. The train stopped at Montgomery Station. Ethan stepped onto the platform, climbed the stairs to street level. 9:12. He was early. Good. He could grab a coffee, settle his nerves, review his notes one more time. He walked 3 blocks through downtown San Francisco's financial district. Morning rush everywhere, people in expensive suits, carrying expensive coffee, heading to expensive offices. Ethan's $12 thrift store suit felt like a costume. His shoes bought at Payless 2 years ago pinched his feet. But none of that mattered if he could just get through the door, get in front of Claire Montgomery, show her what he could do. The building stood 42 stories tall, all glass and chrome with Montgomery and Associates carved in marble over the entrance. Ethan stopped on the sidewalk, took a deep breath. This was it. Everything changed today. Had to change today. Because if it didn't, if this fell through like every other opportunity, he didn't know what he'd do. He was reaching for the revolving door when the world started shaking. At first, Ethan thought a truck had hit the building. But then the shaking intensified, and he heard it, a deep rumble rising from underground, like the earth itself was groaning in pain. Around him, people stopped, looked around confused. Then the real shaking started. Earthquake. Ethan had lived through dozens of small quakes. This wasn't small. The ground bucked beneath his feet like a living thing trying to throw him off. Car alarms started screaming. People poured out of buildings, some running, some frozen in terror. Above him, windows shattered, raining glass onto the sidewalk. Someone screamed. A car jumped the curb and crashed into a storefront. Ethan grabbed a light post, held on while the world tried to shake itself apart. 30 seconds. Maybe 40. Time stretched and compressed simultaneously. When the shaking finally stopped, the silence was worse than the noise. Then the aftershocks began. Smaller tremors that kept everyone off balance, kept the panic alive. Ethan's first thought, Noah. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone. No signal. The network was completely overloaded. But the school was in Oakland across the bay. Different fault line. They probably barely felt it. Noah was fine. Had to be fine. His second thought. The interview. He looked at the Montgomery building. People evacuating in organized chaos, emergency exits, backup generators, the whole procedure. There was no way they were conducting interviews now. This was over. His chance was done. And then he heard it. Please. So faint he almost missed it over the car alarms and distant sirens. A voice from the alley between buildings, barely more than a whisper. Please, help me. Ethan's body moved before his brain caught up. He pushed through the crowd against the flow of people trying to escape the buildings. The alley was narrow, dark, filled with debris, and there, halfway down, partially hidden behind a dumpster, a woman lay trapped beneath concrete. She was maybe 40, business suit torn and covered in dust, blood spreading across the ground beneath her right leg. Her face was pale, twisted in agony, and when she saw Ethan, her eyes went wide with desperate, pleading hope. "Please, don't leave me." Ethan dropped to his knees beside her, his portfolio hitting the ground, forgotten. "I've got you. You're gonna be okay." "My leg." Her voice was thin, breathless. "I can't feel it. I can't." The concrete slab crushing her thigh was massive, probably 200 pounds. Blood pumped steadily from beneath it, bright arterial red, fast and steady. Ethan's EMT training from years ago kicked in, that weekend course he'd taken, thinking he might volunteer for search and rescue before Sarah got pregnant and life got complicated. Tourniquet, elevation, pressure, call 911. But there was no 911. The sirens in the distance were heading somewhere else, to bigger emergencies, worse disasters. And this woman had minutes, not hours. "What's your name?" Ethan asked, yanking his tie loose. Claire Montgomery." The name hit him like a physical blow. Montgomery. The same Montgomery whose building stood 42 stories tall behind him. The same Montgomery who'd called him personally about this interview. But none of that mattered now. Right now, she was just a woman bleeding out in an alley while the world fell apart. "Claire, I need you to stay with me. Keep talking. Tell me about yourself." "I have a daughter." Her voice cracked. "Emma. She's 12. She's at school." "Oh God, is she okay? Someone needs to tell her." "Emma's fine," Ethan said firmly, wrapping his tie around Claire's thigh above the concrete. "Schools are built for earthquakes. She's safer than we are right now. Keep talking to me. What does Emma like to do?" She plays violin, hates practicing but loves performing. She wants to be a doctor. She's so smart, so much smarter than I was at her age." Tears cut tracks through the dust on Claire's face. "Her father left us 2 years ago. Couldn't handle the pressure, the hours I worked. She can't lose me too. She can't." "She's not going to," Ethan said, pulling the tie tight, using a piece of broken rebar as a windlass to twist it tighter. Claire screamed, bit down on her lip, hard enough to draw blood. "I'm sorry, I have to stop the bleeding." "Who are you?" "Ethan Walker. I was supposed to interview with you in about 30 minutes. A sound came out of her that was half laugh, half sob. "You're the bridge engineer, the Bay Bridge retrofit." "That's me." Small world. Tiny. Another aftershock hit. Ethan covered Claire with his body as debris rained down from the damaged buildings above. Chunks of brick and concrete bounced off his back, his shoulders. When it stopped, he checked the tourniquet. Still tight. But Claire was getting paler, her breathing shallow and rapid. Shock setting in. "Ethan." Her hand grabbed his wrist weakly. "If I don't make it, you're making it. If I don't, you need to tell Emma I love her. Tell her I fought. Tell her—" "You're going to tell her yourself." Ethan pulled out his phone again. Still no signal. He looked around desperately. The street was chaos, people running cars, abandoned small fires starting, but no ambulances. No help coming. He looked at the concrete slab pinning Claire's leg. He could lift it. Maybe. Probably. But when he did, she'd bleed even more. The tourniquet would help, but not enough. Moving her wrong could kill her faster than leaving her here, but leaving her here guaranteed she'd die. "Claire, listen to me. I'm going to move this concrete. When I do, it's going to hurt worse than anything you've ever felt. But I'll have the tourniquet as tight as I can get it, and then I'm carrying you to the street where someone can help us." "You can't carry me. You'll hurt yourself. I carried my wife to the car after she went into labor with Noah. Trust me, adrenaline is a hell of a drug." He positioned himself, got his hands under the concrete. "On 3. 1, 2. He lifted. Not on 3. Never on 3, his EMT instructor had said. Element of surprise helps with the pain. The concrete was heavier than anything Ethan had ever lifted. His back screamed. His arms shook, but he got it up, got it off. Her leg shoved it aside. Claire's scream echoed off the alley walls, raw and agonized. Her thigh was crushed bone visible through torn flesh, blood everywhere despite the tourniquet. Ethan's stomach lurched, but he pushed it down. He stripped off his suit jacket, pressed it against the wound. Hold this. Press as hard as you can. Claire's hands, shaking violently, covered the jacket. Blood soaked through immediately. Ethan checked the tourniquet again, tightened it one more notch. Claire went white, stopped screaming, started gasping instead. Stay with me, Claire. Talk to me. What's Emma's favorite food? Mac and cheese. The cheap kind from the box. Even though I can afford fancy restaurants, she wants 99-cent mac and cheese. A weak laugh. Kids, right? Yeah. My son Noah would live on pizza and cereal if I let him. Ethan slid his arms under Claire, one under her shoulders, one under her knees. This is going to hurt. Everything already hurts. Fair point. He lifted. Claire was maybe 140, but with dead weight and injury, she felt like 200. Ethan's leg shook his back, protested. But he got her up, got her moving toward the street. Every step was agony for both of them. Claire whimpered, then bit down on his shoulder to keep from screaming. Ethan just focused on putting one foot in front of the other. 10 steps. 20. The mouth of the alley seemed miles away. Another aftershock. Ethan went to one knee, protected Claire's head as more debris fell. A brick hit his shoulder, sent pain shooting down his arm. But he held on, got back up, kept moving. The street was still chaos, but less than before. People were organizing now, helping each other, that strange human instinct to come together in crisis kicking in. Ethan stumbled out of the alley, and someone, a young woman in a barista apron, ran over. Oh my God, is she okay? I need an ambulance. She's losing too much blood. They're all on the other side of downtown. There was a building collapse over there. But I saw a fire truck 2 blocks that way. She pointed. Can you make it? Ethan looked at Claire. Her eyes were half closed, her breathing shallow. She didn't have 2 more blocks in her. Go get them, Ethan said. Run. Tell them critical bleeding, tourniquet in place, possible crush syndrome. Go. The barista ran. Ethan lowered Claire to the ground, keeping her leg elevated on his discarded portfolio. He checked the tourniquet again. Still tight, but blood still seeping around it. Not good. He pressed his hands over the wound, applying direct pressure through the soaked jacket. Claire. Claire, look at me. Her eyes fluttered open, barely focused. You're not done yet. Emma needs you. You're going to see her again. You're going to watch her graduate, go to medical school, change the world. But you have to fight. Right now. Fight. Tired. I know. I was tired too. 3 years ago, after Sarah died, I was so tired I thought about just giving up. Thought about how easy it would be to let go. But you know what stopped me? What? Noah, my boy. He needed his dad. And Emma needs her mom. So you don't get to quit. Not today. Not like this. A siren wailed, getting closer. The fire truck appeared, and paramedics jumped out before it even fully stopped. They saw the tourniquet, saw the blood, and their faces shifted into professional calm. Good work, the older paramedic said to Ethan as they moved in with practiced efficiency. That tourniquet probably saved her life. They had Claire on a backboard in 90 seconds, a four running oxygen mask on her face, wound packed and stabilized. As they loaded her into the ambulance, her hand shot out, grabbed Ethan's wrist with surprising strength. Thank you, she whispered through the oxygen mask. Thank you for not leaving me. Take care of yourself, Claire. Emma's waiting. The ambulance doors closed, siren screaming as it pulled away. Ethan stood there in the middle of the street, covered in blood that wasn't his, surrounded by chaos, holding his ruined portfolio. His phone buzzed. Signal was back. Messages flooded in. Mrs. Chen. Noah is fine. Schools are all safe. Don't worry. His friend Marcus. You okay, man? His landlord. Hope you're safe. We can talk about rent later. And one new email. From Montgomery and Associates. Ethan's hands shook as he opened it. Dear Mr. Walker, due to today's seismic event, all scheduled interviews have been canceled. We will not be rescheduling at this time as we are closing applications for this position. Thank you for your interest in Montgomery and Associates. Ethan read it once, twice, 3 times. Then he sat down on the curb still covered in Claire Montgomery's blood and put his head in his hands. He'd saved a life. And lost everything. The interview was gone. The job was gone. His one chance to turn things around, to keep his promise to Sarah, to give Noah the life he deserved, all of it gone. And worst of all, he couldn't even regret it. Even knowing the cost, even knowing what it meant, he'd do it again. Would stop. Would help. Because that's who Sarah had raised him to be. That's who his parents had raised him to be. But knowing that didn't make it hurt less. A police officer approached. Sir, are you injured? No, the blood's not mine. You need to clear the area. We're setting up a perimeter. Ethan nodded, stood up. His legs barely held him. The adrenaline was wearing off now, leaving him shaky and exhausted. He looked down at himself, shirt, ruined pants, torn shoes, covered in blood and dust. He looked like he'd been through a war. He felt like it too. The walk back to the BART station took forever. Emergency vehicles everywhere, buildings being evacuated, people crying and calling loved ones. Ethan moved through it all like a ghost, his mind stuck in that alley replaying every decision, every moment. What if he'd walked past? What if he'd pretended not to hear? What if he'd chosen differently? But he hadn't. And he never would have. And that was the problem. Wasn't it? He was the guy who stopped. The guy who helped. The guy who did the right thing, even when the right thing destroyed him. Sarah used to say it was his best quality. You have the biggest heart of anyone I know, Ethan Walker. Right now, that heart felt like it was being crushed under the same concrete that had trapped Claire Montgomery. The BART station was packed with people trying to get home, trying to find loved ones, trying to process what had just happened. Ethan waited 40 minutes for a train standing silent, while everyone around him talked frantically about the earthquake, about near misses and lucky breaks, and the fragility of life. He thought about Claire's daughter Emma, about how close she'd come to losing her mother today, about how one stranger's decision to stop had changed her entire future. He thought about Noah, about how his son's future had just gotten a lot more uncertain, about the promise he'd made to Sarah and how he was failing to keep it. The train finally came. Ethan found a corner, pressed his forehead against the window, watched the city blur past. Somewhere in one of those hospitals, Claire Montgomery was in surgery. Probably would live thanks to the tourniquet, thanks to him getting help fast enough. He'd done good. He'd saved a life. So why did he feel like he'd just lost his own? His phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Dad, are you okay? Mrs. Chen said there was a big earthquake. Are you hurt? Ethan typed back with shaking hands. I'm fine, buddy. On my way home. Can't wait to see you. Did you get the job? Ethan stared at that message for a long time. Then he typed, We'll talk about it tonight. Love you. Love you too, Dad. The train crossed the bay. Oakland appeared familiar and ordinary, like the world hadn't just shifted on its axis. Ethan got off at his stop, walked the 6 blocks to Mrs. Chen's house where Noah waited. With every step he tried to figure out what he'd tell his son. How he'd explain that they'd lost their chance. How he'd keep the promise he'd made to Sarah. He didn't have any answers. But he'd figure it out. Had to figure it out. Because that's what parents did. They figured it out even when there was nothing left to figure. Mrs. Chen's door flew open before he could knock. Noah burst out, threw himself at Ethan with enough force to almost knock him over. Dad, you're okay. Ethan wrapped his arms around his son, held him tight, and felt something break inside his chest. I'm okay, buddy. I'm okay. You're covered in blood. Whose blood is that? Someone who needed help. I'll tell you about it inside. Mrs. Chen stood in the doorway, her hand over her mouth, tears in her eyes. Ethan, what happened? Long story. Can I use your bathroom to clean up? 20 minutes later, wearing one of Mrs. Chen's late husband's old shirts and having scrubbed most of the blood off his hands, Ethan sat at her kitchen table with Noah pressed against his side and told them everything. The earthquake, the alley, Claire Montgomery, the choice he'd made. When he finished, Noah looked up at him with those big brown eyes, Sarah's eyes, and said, You saved her life, Dad. Yeah, I did. That's more important than a job. Maybe. But we still need a job, buddy. You'll get another one. You're the smartest engineer in the whole world. Mom said so. Ethan pulled Noah close, pressed his face into his son's hair. Your mom might have been a little biased. Doesn't mean she was wrong. Mrs. Chen set a cup of tea in front of Ethan. That woman, the one you saved. She works at the company, right? She's the HR director, the one who called me about the interview. Then maybe this isn't over. It's over. They sent an email, position closed. Today's not a normal day, Ethan. When things settle down, when she recovers, she'll remember. She'll remember the man who saved her life. Ethan shook his head. Life doesn't work like that. Good deeds don't pay the rent. Maybe not. But they pay something else, something that matters more. Ethan wanted to believe her, wanted to think that doing the right thing would somehow work out. But he'd been doing the right thing his whole life, and it hadn't gotten him anywhere except broke and desperate in a $12 suit. Still, he'd saved Claire Montgomery's life. Her daughter still had a mother. That had to count for something, even if it didn't pay the bills. Come on, buddy, Ethan said to Noah. Let's go home. We've got pizza to order. Even though you didn't get the job. Especially because I didn't get the job. Some days pizza is all that makes sense. They walked home through Oakland's streets as the sun set, father and son holding hands. The world had shaken today. Lives had changed. But here in this moment, they had each other. That was something. Maybe the only thing that mattered. Ethan's phone buzzed one more time. Another email. He almost didn't check it. Almost threw the phone away. But something made him look. From Claire Montgomery. Subject: Thank you. Mr. Walker, I'm told you saved my life today. When I'm released from the hospital, I'd very much like to meet with you properly. I owe you more than just an interview. With deepest gratitude, Claire. Ethan stopped walking, read it again. His heart, which had felt crushed all day, suddenly beat a little faster. Dad, you okay? Ethan looked down at Noah, at his son's hopeful, beautiful face, at the future they were building together brick by impossible brick. Yeah, buddy. I think maybe we're gonna be okay after all. 3 days after the earthquake, Ethan sat in a hospital waiting room that smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams, holding a cheap bouquet of carnations he'd bought from the hospital gift shop. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. This is stupid, he muttered to himself. She probably doesn't even remember sending that email. But he'd come anyway. Because the email had said she wanted to meet, and because some small, desperate part of him still hoped that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't over. Mr. Walker. Ethan looked up. A nurse stood in the doorway, clipboard in hand, professional smile in place. Ms. Montgomery will see you now. Room 412. Ethan's legs felt like concrete as he walked down the hallway. Other patients shuffled past in hospital gowns. Visitors carried flowers and balloons. Somewhere a baby cried. Normal hospital sounds. But nothing about this felt normal. He stopped outside room 412. Through the small window in the door, he could see Claire Montgomery sitting up in bed, her right leg elevated in a complex system of pulleys and supports. She looked pale, tired, but alive. Very much alive. He knocked softly. "Come in." Ethan pushed open the door. Claire turned her head, and when she saw him, her eyes filled with tears. "You came." "You asked me to." Ethan held up the flowers awkwardly. "These are, they're not much. The gift shop selection was pretty limited." "They're perfect." Claire gestured to the table beside her bed. "Put them anywhere. Just move the other 17 bouquets." Ethan looked around. The room was drowning in flowers. Balloons covered the ceiling. Get well cards lined every surface. "Popular patient," he said. "Guilty conscience patients. Every executive from the company has been through here making sure I'm okay, making sure I don't sue." Claire's smile was tired. They don't know what to do with the fact that their HR director almost died in an alley while they were all evacuating safely. "You did die in an alley. Technically, your heart stopped in the ambulance. They brought you back." Claire stared at him. "How did you know that?" "I called, every day, just to check." Ethan felt his face heat. "Sorry, that probably sounds creepy. I just needed to know you were okay." "It doesn't sound creepy. It sounds like something the man who saved my life would do." Claire wiped her eyes. "Sit, please. You're making me nervous standing there." Ethan sat in the chair beside her bed. Up close, he could see the exhaustion in her face, the pain she was trying to hide, the IV lines and monitors that kept her tethered to machines. "How's Emma?" he asked. Claire's face transformed. "She's amazing. Hasn't left my side except for school. Right now she's in the cafeteria getting what she calls lunch, and I call suspicious mystery meat." She laughed, then winced. "Ribs. Cracked 2 of them I didn't even know about until they did the full scan." "And your leg?" "Crushed femur, severed artery, significant muscle damage. The surgeon said if that tourniquet had been even 30 seconds later, I'd have bled out before the ambulance arrived." Her voice cracked. "You saved my life, Mr. Walker. Actually, literally saved my life." "Call me Ethan. And I just did what anyone would have done." "No." Claire's voice was firm. "Most people ran. Most people saved themselves. You stopped. You stayed. You sacrificed your interview, your chance at the job, everything you needed to help a stranger." She reached out, took his hand. "Why?" Ethan looked down at their joined hands. "My wife used to say I had an oversized sense of responsibility, that I couldn't walk past someone in trouble without trying to fix it. Used to. She died 3 years ago, car accident. I'm so sorry." "Me too." Ethan pulled his hand back gently. "Look, I appreciate you seeing me, but you don't owe me anything. You were in trouble, I helped. That's all there is to it." "That's not all there is to it." Claire shifted in bed, trying to sit up straighter, grimacing with pain. "I read your portfolio. Did you know that before the earthquake, I spent 2 hours reading every paper you've published, every project you've worked on, every recommendation from every supervisor you've ever had?" Ethan said nothing. "You're brilliant, Ethan. Top of your class at MIT Innovations in structural engineering that are being used in buildings across the country, problem-solving skills that put engineers twice your age to shame. So I have one question." Claire's eyes locked on his. "Why the hell are you working as a junior engineer for a company that doesn't appreciate you? Because I have a son who needs to eat and a landlord who needs rent." That's not an answer. That's an excuse. Ethan felt something hot flare in his chest. It's not an excuse when you're 3 months behind on bills and every interview you get turns into a dead end. It's not an excuse when you're applying for 50 jobs and getting rejected from 49. It's called reality, Ms. Montgomery. Some of us don't have the luxury of choosing. "You're right. I'm sorry." Claire's voice softened. "I'm not trying to diminish what you've been through. I'm trying to understand how someone with your talent ends up where you are. Bad luck, bad timing. Being the only parent to a 7-year-old who can't work the 80-hour weeks everyone wants." Ethan stood up. Look, I should go. I'm glad you're okay. I really am. But if this meeting was about guilt or gratitude or feeling like you owe me something you don't, we're even. Sit down. The command in her voice stopped him cold. He sat. I'm not offering you the job you interviewed for, Claire said. Ethan's heart sank. I figured as much. Because that job is too junior for you. That job was for someone with 5 years of experience managing small projects. You have 10 years of experience designing major infrastructure. She pulled a folder from her nightstand, wincing as she stretched. I've been lying in this bed for 3 days thinking about this. About you. About what you did. And I realized something. What? When that earthquake hit, everyone in our building evacuated safely. You know why? Because 15 years ago, we hired an engineer who redesigned our emergency systems, our structural supports, our entire safety protocol. That engineer saved 43 lives that day. Do you know what we paid him? Ethan shook his head. $150,000 for 2 months of work, because he was worth it, because innovation and expertise and caring about human lives more than profit margins is worth every penny. Claire opened the folder. I want to offer you a different position. Senior Structural Engineer, Special Projects Division. You'd be working directly with our executive team on high-profile infrastructure projects across California. The salary is $120,000 to start, full benefits, flexible hours. Ethan couldn't breathe. That number. That impossible number. That could change everything. Pay off every debt, save for Noah's college, actually live instead of just surviving. Why? He managed to choke out. Because you're brilliant. Because we need people who care more about doing the right thing than climbing corporate ladders. Because you saved my life and I believe in paying that forward. Claire held out the folder. Take it. Read it. Think about it. You don't have to answer right now. Ethan took the folder with trembling hands. I don't understand. The email said the position was closed. That position was closed. This is a different position. One I'm creating specifically for you. You can't do that. You can't just create jobs for people out of guilt. I'm not creating it out of guilt. I'm creating it because I spent 3 days reviewing your work, talking to your former supervisors, researching every project you've ever touched. You're exactly what we need, Ethan. We've been looking for someone like you for 2 years. Claire's eyes were fierce. The earthquake didn't make you qualified. You were always qualified. It just made me see it. The door burst open. A girl rushed in carrying a tray of cafeteria food, her dark hair in a ponytail, braces flashing as she talked. Mom, they were out of the good pizza, so I got you the gross chicken thing, but I also got you Jell-O because I know you like the red kind. And oh. She stopped, seeing Ethan. Sorry, I didn't know you had a visitor. Emma, this is Ethan Walker, the man I told you about. Emma's eyes went wide. She set down the tray carefully, then turned to Ethan. You're the one who saved my mom. I just helped. The paramedics did the real saving. That's not what the paramedics said. They said Mom would have died without the tourniquet, and that you did everything exactly right. Emma's voice shook. My dad left us 2 years ago. Mom is all I have. If she died, I'd have no one. So thank you. Thank you for not leaving her. Ethan felt tears prick his eyes. This girl, 12 years old, trying so hard to be brave. You're welcome, Emma. Do you have kids? A son, Noah. He's 7. What's he like? He's everything good in the world, smart, funny kind. He wants to be an engineer like his mom was. She died a few years ago? Emma's face crumpled with understanding. Then you know what it feels like. To almost lose someone. Yeah, I know what it feels like. Emma walked over, and before Ethan knew what was happening, she hugged him. This strange girl, daughter of a woman he barely knew, wrapped her arms around him and held on tight. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for giving me my mom back. Ethan hugged her back, this brave kid who'd almost lost everything. You take good care of her, okay? I will, I promise. Claire was crying now, tears running down her face. Emma went to her, wiped her mother's tears gently. Mom, don't cry. You're gonna mess up your pain medication. These are happy tears, baby. Still tears. Ethan stood up, folder clutched in his hands. I should go. Let you two have dinner. Ethan, Claire called. Read the offer. Think about it. We can start the interview process next week, do everything properly. But I want you to know this isn't charity. This is business. You're exactly what we need. I'll read it, I promise. He made it to the parking lot before he opened the folder. The offer letter was official, detailed, real. 120,000. Benefits. Flexible schedule. Start date in 3 weeks. Everything he'd dreamed about. His phone rang. Mrs. Chen. Ethan, where are you? Noah's asking about dinner. I'm on my way. Mrs. Chen, can you stay for a bit when I get there? I need to talk to you about something. Of course, dear. Is everything okay? Ethan looked at the offer letter at the hospital behind him, at the golden evening light spreading across the parking lot. Yeah, I think everything might actually be okay. The drive home took 40 minutes. Ethan spent the entire time alternating between elation and terror. This was too good to be true. Had to be. Things like this didn't happen to people like him. Any minute now he'd wake up and find out it was a dream, or there'd be some catch, some condition that made it impossible. But the folder sat on his passenger seat, solid and real. Noah practically tackled him when he walked through the door. Dad, Mrs. Chen made her dumplings. That's great, buddy. Ethan hugged his son, then looked at Mrs. Chen standing in the kitchen doorway. Can we talk, all three of us? They sat at the small kitchen table, Noah bouncing in his chair, Mrs. Chen looking worried, Ethan trying to figure out where to start. I went to see the woman I saved, Claire Montgomery. How is she? Mrs. Chen asked. She's going to be okay. Full recovery, they think. And she offered me a job. Noah's eyes went huge. The job. The one from the interview. A different job. A better job. Ethan opened the folder, showed them the offer letter. Senior engineer. More money than I ever thought I'd make. Benefits. Everything. Mrs. Chen read the letter, her hand over her mouth. Ethan, this is wonderful. Is it, or is it charity? Is she just trying to repay a debt? Does it matter? Mrs. Chen's voice was gentle. Whether she's offering it because you saved her life or because you're qualified, the result is the same. You can take care of Noah. You can stop struggling. But I didn't earn it. You didn't earn it. Mrs. Chen's eyes flashed. You spent 10 years working twice as hard as everyone around you for half the recognition. You raised a beautiful son alone while grieving your wife. You saved a woman's life when you could have walked away. How much more do you need to earn it, Ethan? Dad, Noah said quietly. What would Mom say? Ethan looked at his son. What do you think she'd say? She'd say you're being stupid, that you should take the job and stop worrying about earning things, that you've already earned everything by being a good person. Out of the mouths of babes. Ethan laughed, really laughed for the first time in days. Your mom would definitely say that. Probably with more swear words, though. So you're taking it? Noah asked. I don't know yet. I need to think about it. What's there to think about? Whether I can do the job, whether I'm really qualified, or if she's just being nice, whether... Dad. Noah put his small hand on Ethan's. You're the smartest person I know. You can do anything. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best. Mrs. Chen stood up, patted Ethan's shoulder. I'll leave you two to talk. Call me if you need anything. After she left, Noah and Ethan sat at the table, the offer letter between them. Are you scared? Noah asked. Terrified. Why? Because if I take this job and mess it up, we're back where we started. Maybe worse. Ethan ran his hand through his hair. And because it feels like I'm taking advantage of saving someone's life. Like I'm profiting from doing the right thing. Dad, can I tell you something Mom told me once? Of course. Right before she died, when she knew she was dying, she made me promise something. She said I had to make sure you didn't blame yourself for everything, that you had to learn to accept good things when they came instead of always questioning whether you deserved them. Noah's voice was steady, mature beyond his years. I think this is one of those good things, Dad. I think you should take it. Ethan pulled Noah onto his lap, held him close. This kid who'd lost his mother too young, who'd watched his father struggle and never complained, who somehow had more wisdom than men twice his age. You really think I should? I really do. And I think Mom would too. Then I guess I'm taking the job. Noah whooped, threw his arms around Ethan's neck. We're gonna be okay, Dad. We're really gonna be okay. Yeah, buddy. I think we are. That night, after Noah fell asleep, Ethan sat in the living room with Sarah's picture in his hands. 3 years, and he still missed her every single day. Still talked to her sometimes, asking for advice, wishing she could see how big Noah was getting. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, he whispered to the photograph. I don't know if I deserve this. But our boy needs stability, needs a future. So I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to try. And if I mess it up, at least I'll know I tried. The picture didn't answer, but somewhere in his chest, in the place where Sarah lived, in his memories and his heart, Ethan felt something like peace. The next morning he called Claire Montgomery. I want the job, he said. But I need you to understand something. I'm not taking this as payment for saving your life. I'm taking it because I'm qualified, and I'm going to prove that every single day. If I can't do the job, if I'm not what you need, you fire me. No guilt, no hesitation. Deal. Claire's laugh sounded stronger than it had in the hospital. Deal. When can you start? The offer said 3 weeks. I need to give my current employer notice. Get Noah sorted with after-school care for the longer commute. 3 weeks is perfect. Ethan? Yeah. Welcome to Montgomery & Associates. I think this is going to be the start of something good. Ethan hung up and immediately called his current employer. His boss, a man who'd overlooked him for promotion 3 times, sounded almost relieved when Ethan gave his notice. If you've got a better opportunity, you should take it. Good luck, Walker. No attempt to keep him, no counteroffer, just confirmation that he'd made the right choice leaving. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. Ethan worked his notice period, spent evenings getting Noah excited about the new routine arranged for after-school care that didn't cost a fortune. He paid off 2 months of back rent with his last paycheck, then started budgeting for the future, a real future with savings and security and possibilities. 1 week before his start date, Claire called. How would you and Noah like to come to dinner? Emma won't stop talking about meeting your son. She's decided they should be friends. Claire, you don't have to. I want to. Besides, Emma's threatened to disown me if I don't at least try. Apparently, I'm socially incompetent, according to my 12-year-old. Ethan laughed. Okay. When? Saturday. 6 o'clock. I'll text you the address. Saturday arrived too fast. Ethan spent an hour trying to figure out what to wear to dinner at his future boss's house. Too casual seemed disrespectful. Too formal seemed presumptuous. He finally settled on khakis and a button-down shirt, then spent another 20 minutes convincing Noah that yes, he had to wear something other than his superhero t-shirt. The address Claire had sent was in Pacific Heights, one of San Francisco's nicest neighborhoods. The house was beautiful, but not ostentatious, with a small garden and a view of the bay. Wow, Noah breathed as they walked up the front steps. She lives here, apparently. We could fit our whole apartment in that living room. Probably. Claire opened the door before they could knock. She was on crutches, her leg in a brace, but she was smiling. You found it. Hard to miss. Beautiful house. It's too big for just Emma and me, but we love it. Claire stepped back to let them in. Emma's in the kitchen pretending she knows how to cook. Fair warning, we ordered takeout because neither of us can be trusted near a stove. Emma appeared in the hallway, flower somehow in her hair, despite the alleged takeout. Hi, You must be Noah. Noah, usually shy with new people, grinned. Hi, my dad says you play violin. Want to see it? Sure. The two kids disappeared upstairs, leaving Ethan and Claire standing in the foyer. That was fast, Ethan said. Emma's been planning his visit for a week. She made a list of things to show him, questions to ask him, topics to discuss. I think she's more nervous about this than I was about my last board presentation. They moved to the living room. Claire lowered herself onto the couch, carefully propping her leg up. Sorry for the informal dinner. Turns out crushing your femur really limits your hostess abilities. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a building, but alive thanks to you. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. Tell me about Noah. Emma says he wants to be an engineer. His mom was an engineer, structural like me. She died before she could teach him much, but he's fascinated by how things work. Takes apart every toy I give him just to see what's inside. Sarah. That was her name. Yeah. She was incredible. Smart, funny, patient with me when I got too focused on work. We met at MIT, got married too young, had Noah right after graduation. We were supposed to have 50 years together. Ethan's throat tightened. We got 7. I'm sorry. That's not enough time. No, it's not. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Upstairs, they could hear Emma playing violin, Noah asking questions, both kids laughing. My ex-husband left because I worked too much, Claire said quietly. He said I cared more about my career than our family. Maybe he was right. I missed Emma's school plays, her recitals, parent-teacher conferences. I told myself I was providing for us, building a future. But really, I was just scared of slowing down, of being still long enough to deal with the fact that our marriage was falling apart. Is that why you're doing this? Giving me the job because you feel guilty about your own choices? Maybe a little, but mostly because I meant what I said. You're talented and we need you. Claire met his eyes. And because when I was lying in that alley bleeding out, convinced I was going to die, all I could think about was Emma, about how she'd be alone. And then you showed up. You, this stranger who had every reason to keep walking, who had everything to lose by stopping. You gave Emma her mother back. How do I not give something back to you? You already did. The job is more than enough. The job is business. This. Claire gestured around her home. This is personal. Emma needs friends. I think Noah does too. And maybe we both need to remember there are good people in the world. People who stop when others run. Before Ethan could respond, Emma and Noah thundered down the stairs. Mom, Dad, Emma showed me her violin and her telescope and her robot kit, and we're going to build a robot together. Are we? Ethan asked, amused. Yes. She has all the parts and I know how to program, and oh, can Emma come over sometime, please? Ethan looked at Claire. She shrugged, smiling. Emma's been asking the same thing. If you're comfortable with it. Sure, yeah, that would be great. The kids cheered and ran back upstairs, already planning their robot building venture. Claire laughed, then winced. You okay? Fine. Just moved wrong. The doctor says I'll be on these crutches for another 6 weeks, then physical therapy for months after that. But full recovery? That's what they say. Though honestly, I'm already tired of being stuck at home. I'm supposed to be on medical leave for 8 weeks, but I'll go crazy if I can't work. Then don't work. Rest. Heal. Spend time with Emma. Says the man who probably never took a sick day in his life. Only because I couldn't afford to. Fair point. Claire adjusted her leg with a grimace. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really stop in the alley, I mean? You knew you'd miss the interview. You knew it would cost you. So why? Ethan thought about it. About that moment when he heard her voice, when every instinct screamed at him to keep walking to save himself. About the choice that had felt like no choice at all. Because I thought about Noah. About what I'd want someone to do if he was ever hurt and alone and scared. And I thought about Sarah, about what she'd think of me if I walked past someone who needed help just to make it to a job interview. He met Claire's eyes. I guess I stopped because that's who I want to be, who I want Noah to see me as, someone who helps, even when it costs everything. Claire wiped her eyes. Well, you succeeded. You're exactly that person. So are you. You're creating opportunities for people, giving chances, building a company that actually cares about its employees. That matters too. I hope so. God, I hope so. They talked for another hour about work and life, and the strange ways fate brought people together. The takeout arrived, and they called the kids down. The four of them ate dinner around Claire's dining room table, laughing and talking, like they'd known each other for years instead of weeks. As they were leaving, Emma hugged Ethan again. Thank you for saving my mom. And thank you for bringing Noah. He's really cool. He thinks you're pretty cool too. In the car, Noah chattered non-stop about Emma and her telescope, and all the things they were going to build together. Ethan listened, his heart full in a way it hadn't been since Sarah died. Maybe Mrs. Chen was right. Maybe good things really did happen sometimes. Maybe you didn't have to earn every moment of happiness. Maybe sometimes the universe just gave you a gift. And maybe, just maybe, it was okay to accept it. Ethan's first day at Montgomery & Associates started with him throwing up in the parking garage. He sat in his car for 10 minutes after forehead pressed against the steering wheel, trying to convince himself he could do this. The building loomed above him, 42 stories of glass and steel, and expectations he wasn't sure he could meet. His phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Good luck, Dad. You're gonna be amazing. Love you. Ethan smiled despite the nausea. He texted back a heart emoji, then forced himself out of the car. The lobby was intimidating, all marble and modern art, and people in expensive suits moving with purpose. Ethan's suit was new, bought with his signing bonus, but he still felt like an imposter. Like someone was going to point at him and yell that he didn't belong here. Mr. Walker. A young woman approached, clipboard in hand. Professional smile bright. I'm Jennifer from HR. Welcome to Montgomery & Associates. Ms. Montgomery asked me to help you get settled. Is she here? Working from home still. Doctor's orders. But she's been emailing me every hour, making sure everything's perfect for your first day. Jennifer's smile turned genuine. Between you and me, I've never seen her this invested in an employee before. You must have made quite an impression. I just did what anyone would do. That's not what the news said. You're a hero, Mr. Walker. Ethan's stomach twisted. The story had made local news earthquake survivor saves HR director, all that dramatic coverage he'd hated. I'm just an engineer. Well, everyone's excited to have you. Come on, I'll show you to your office. Office, not cubicle. Ethan followed Jennifer to the elevator, trying not to gawk at everything. The building was even more impressive inside than out. They rode to the 38th floor, and Jennifer led him down a hallway lined with glass-walled offices. This is you, she said, opening a door. The office was bigger than Ethan's living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the bay, a massive desk dominated the space, and there were actual bookshelves built into the walls. On the desk sat a welcome basket and a card. Ethan opened it. Claire's handwriting. Welcome to the team. You earned this. Don't let anyone, especially yourself, tell you otherwise. P.S. Emma made you cookies. They're probably terrible, but eat them anyway. Ms. Montgomery is great, Jennifer said. Tough but fair. Everyone respects her. She seems like a good person. The best. Okay, your computer login is here, your access badge is here, and your first meeting is at 10 with the infrastructure team. Any questions? About 1,000, but I'll figure it out. Jennifer laughed. You'll do great. Welcome aboard, Mr. Walker. After she left, Ethan sat in his new chair and looked out at the view. The bay sparkled in morning sunboats, dotted the water, and somewhere out there, Noah was in school thinking his dad was amazing. Ethan really hoped he wouldn't prove him wrong. The first week was brutal. Not because of the work, which was challenging, but manageable, but because of the people. Everyone knew his story. Everyone had opinions about the earthquake, about Claire, about whether he deserved the position or was just a charity case getting rewarded for basic human decency. "I heard she created the position just for him," someone whispered in the break room on day 3. "That's nepotism if I've ever seen it." Another voice responded. Ethan pretended he didn't hear, grabbed his coffee. Went back to his office, but the words followed him. Charity case, nepotism. Didn't earn it. He worked 12-hour days that first week, determined to prove them wrong. He redesigned an entire structural support system for a downtown high-rise, found cost-saving measures on 3 different projects, and identified potential safety issues in a bridge retrofit that everyone else had missed. On Friday afternoon, his desk phone rang. "Claire. How was your first week?" "Honestly exhausting. But good, I think. I heard you impressed the hell out of the infrastructure team. Bill Morrison said you spotted issues with the Oakland Bay Bridge project that their consultants missed." "Just doing my job." "Stop that." "Stop what?" "Minimizing your accomplishments. You're brilliant, Ethan. Own it." Claire's voice softened. "How are you really doing?" "Jennifer said some people have been less than welcoming." "I can handle office politics. You shouldn't have to. Want me to send out a memo reminding everyone that professionalism is required?" "No. I want to prove myself. Let them think what they want. My work will speak for itself." "God, you're stubborn," says the woman who ran a company from a hospital bed. Claire laughed. "Fair point. Hey, Emma wants to know if Noah can come over Saturday. Apparently they're building some kind of robot that might achieve sentience and destroy us all." "That sounds exactly like something they'd build. Sure, I'll drop him off." "Actually, I was hoping you'd stay. We could have lunch, let the kids do their mad scientist thing. Unless you have plans." Ethan thought about his plans. Laundry, groceries, more work. "No plans. Lunch sounds great." Saturday morning, Noah practically vibrated with excitement as they drove to Claire's house. He'd been talking non-stop about the robot all week, showing Ethan sketches and calculations that were honestly impressive for a 7-year-old. "Did you know Emma wants to be a doctor?" Noah said for the 15th time. "But she also likes engineering. I told her she could be both. Mom always said you could be anything if you worked hard enough." "Your mom was right. Do you think Mom would like Emma?" The question caught Ethan off guard. "Yeah, buddy, I think she would." "Good, because I really like her. And I think her mom is nice too. She makes you smile." "What?" "When you talk about Ms. Montgomery, you smile. You don't smile that much usually. Not the real kind." Out of the mouths of babes, Ethan glanced at Noah in the rearview mirror. "You're pretty observant, you know that. Mom said I got that from you." They pulled up to Claire's house. Emma burst out the front door before they'd even parked, practically dragging Noah inside the moment he got out of the car. Claire appeared on crutches, laughing. "I swear she's been at that door for an hour," she called. Come in, I'm grilling," or attempting to grill while on crutches, which should be entertaining. Ethan followed her through the house to the back patio. The yard was beautiful, well-maintained garden, outdoor furniture, a grill that looked more expensive than Ethan's car. "Let me do that," Ethan said, watching Claire struggle with the grill and her crutches. "You should be resting that leg." "I've been resting for 3 weeks. I'm going insane." "Then rest and direct. I'll be your hands." They fell into an easy rhythm, Claire telling Ethan what to do. Ethan following instructions while they talked about work, about the kids, about nothing important. It felt comfortable, normal, like something Ethan hadn't realized he was missing. "I heard you had a rough first week," Claire said after a while. "It wasn't that bad." "Ethan, I get reports. I know what people are saying. It doesn't matter what they say, it matters what I do." "It does matter, and I'm sorry. I should have handled the hiring differently, made it clearer that you were qualified independently of saving my life." "You did make it clear. Some people just don't want to hear it." Ethan flipped a burger. "I'm used to being underestimated. Been happening my whole career." Why? Because I don't play the game. Don't schmooze with the right people. Don't take credit for other people's work. Don't pretend to know things I don't. I just do good work and hope someone notices. He laughed without humor. Hasn't been a winning strategy. Until now. Maybe. Or maybe I'll prove everyone right and fail spectacularly. Claire was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Can I tell you something about the earthquake?" "Sure." "When I was lying in that alley when I thought I was dying, I wasn't thinking about work or success or any of the things I'd spent my whole life chasing. I was thinking about Emma, about how I'd missed her last recital because of a meeting, about how I'd promised to help with her science project and forgot, about all the moments I'd traded for career advancement." Her voice cracked. "And then you showed up. This man who'd probably never met me, who had everything to lose, who chose a stranger over his own future. And I realized something." "What?" "That the most important things in life aren't the things we achieve. They're the choices we make when no one's watching, the moments we show up, the times we choose people over profit." She looked at him. "You're not going to fail, Ethan. You're incapable of it. Because you care. Really care. And that's worth more than all the credentials in the world." Ethan didn't know what to say. Fortunately, the kids came running out at that moment, covered in what looked like motor oil and triumph. "We did it!" Emma yelled. "It works!" "What works?" Claire asked. "The robot. Come see." They all trooped inside to Emma's room, where an honest-to-God functioning robot sat on her desk. It was crude, cobbled together from spare parts and enthusiasm. But when Noah pressed a button, it actually moved, waved its arm, blinked LED eyes. "Holy crap," Ethan breathed. "You guys built this today." "Emma did most of it," Noah said. "I just helped with the programming." Noah's being modest. He wrote all the code. Emma beamed. "We're going to enter it in the science fair." "What science fair?" Claire asked. "The district one, in 3 weeks. All the middle schools compete." Emma's face fell. "Except Noah's too young. It's only for 5th grade and up." "I could help from behind the scenes," Noah said quickly. "Emma could present it. I don't mind." "Are you sure?" Emma asked. "Totally. We're a team." Ethan watched his son, this generous, brilliant kid, who'd offer to help, even if he couldn't get credit. Sarah would be so proud, was so proud wherever she was. After lunch, while the kids worked on improving their robot, Ethan and Claire sat on the patio with coffee. "Your son is special," Claire said. "The way he immediately offered to help Emma, even though he couldn't compete himself. That's rare. He learned it from his mom. Sarah was like that, always putting other people first. Sounds like he learned it from both his parents." Ethan shook his head. "I'm selfish compared to Sarah. She was the good one." "Stop that." "Stop what?" "Acting like you're not a good person. You saved my life, Ethan. You sacrifice constantly for your son. You work yourself to exhaustion trying to prove you deserve opportunities that you absolutely deserve. That's not selfish. That's the opposite of selfish." "I threw up in the parking garage on my first day because I was so scared of failing," Ethan blurted out. "Some hero." Claire laughed. "I threw up before my first board presentation. Fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Claire said, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Do you ever think about dating again?" Ethan's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. That's a question." "Sorry. Emma asked me last night if you had a girlfriend, and I realized I didn't know. None of my business, obviously." "No, it's okay. And no, I don't date. Haven't since Sarah died." "Because you're still in love with her?" "Because I'm still trying to figure out how to be a single parent, keep a job and not completely mess up my kid. Adding dating to that seems impossible. What if it didn't have to be complicated? What if it was just easy?" Ethan looked at Claire. really looked at her. She was beautiful, successful, kind, funny. And she was looking at him with an expression that made his heart do something it hadn't done in 3 years. Claire, I know. I know it's too soon, too complicated. You're my employee. I'm your boss. There are 1,000 reasons this is a terrible idea. She set down her coffee cup. But I can't stop thinking about you. About how you stopped when everyone else ran. About how you talk about Noah. About how you're so damn hard on yourself even though you're one of the best people I've ever met. I'm a mess, Ethan said. I'm in debt. I'm still grieving my wife. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. I'm a workaholic who's terrible at relationships and drove away my husband with my ambition. I almost died in an alley, and my 12-year-old daughter had to grow up way too fast because I put my career first. Claire's eyes were bright. We're both messes, Ethan. Maybe we could be messes together. This is a bad idea. Probably the worst. We work together. There are policies about this. I already checked. As long as I don't directly supervise you and we disclose to HR, it's allowed. You checked. I did, last week, after you left, and I realized I'd spent the entire lunch just watching you smile. Claire reached out, took his hand. I'm not asking for forever, Ethan. I'm not asking you to stop loving Sarah or to complicate your life. I'm just asking if maybe, possibly, you'd want to see where this goes. Ethan looked at their joined hands. He thought about Sarah, about the promise he'd made to raise Noah right. He thought about what Sarah would say if she were here. And he knew with absolute certainty that she'd tell him to stop being an idiot and take the chance. Okay, he said quietly. Let's see where this goes. Claire's smile was worth every moment of uncertainty. Yeah, but slow, really slow, for Noah's sake. As slow as you need. And if it gets weird at work, then we deal with it like adults. Communication boundaries, all that healthy relationship stuff I'm terrible at. Ethan laughed. This is insane. Completely. Want to have dinner tomorrow, just us. I'd have to get a sitter for Noah. I'll get one for Emma too. We can go somewhere nice, talk like adults, see if we actually like each other outside of life or death situations and work meetings. I already know I like you. Good. Because I really like you too. The back door slid open. Emma and Noah stood there covered in even more oil, grinning like conspirators. Mom, Emma said innocently, are you holding Mr. Walker's hand? Claire dropped Ethan's hand like it was on fire. We were just talking. Uh-huh. Sure. Emma's grin was pure mischief. Noah owes me $5. What? Ethan and Claire said simultaneously. We bet on how long it would take you to figure out you like each other, Noah said, looking incredibly pleased with himself. Emma said by the end of today. I said next week. She wins. You guys bet on us. Ethan couldn't decide whether to be mortified or amused. You're both really obvious, Emma said. Every time you talked about each other you get all smiley and weird. We do not get smiley and weird, Claire protested. Mom, you made me rewrite my thank you note to Mr. Walker 4 times because you said it wasn't perfect enough. And Dad practices what to say before he calls you, Noah added. I heard him in the bathroom last week. Ethan's face was on fire. Okay, you know what new rule? No more observations about the adults. But you are dating now, right? Emma asked hopefully. Because Noah and I already planned it out. We can have more robot days and maybe go to the science museum together. And, Emma, slow down. Claire was trying not to laugh. We're taking things slow. How slow? Very slow. Like glacier slow. Glaciers move faster than you think, Noah said seriously. Because of climate change. Everyone stared at him. He shrugged. We learned it in school. The rest of the afternoon passed in comfortable chaos. The kids went back to their robot making improvements and planning their science fair presentation. Ethan and Claire cleaned up from lunch, stealing glances at each other when they thought the kids weren't looking, which was never because Emma and Noah were apparently expert spies. When it was time to leave, Noah hugged Emma goodbye like they were long-lost friends instead of kids who'd known each other for 3 weeks. Emma made him promise to come back soon to work on the robot. Noah made her promise to teach him to play violin. "They're adorable together," Claire said, watching them from the doorway. "They really are. I'm glad Noah has a friend. He's been pretty lonely since we moved." Emma, too. Most kids don't want to hang out with the weird girl who spends weekends building robots. Then most kids are idiots. Claire smiled. "So, tomorrow, dinner." "Tomorrow, dinner. I'll pick you up at 7. It's a date." As Ethan drove home, Noah chattering in the back seat about robots and violin lessons, and how cool Emma was. He felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Real hope. Not just survival hope, not just maybe things won't get worse hope, but actual excitement about the future. "Dad," Noah said as they pulled into their apartment complex. "Yeah, buddy. I think Mom would really like Ms. Montgomery, and Emma too." Ethan's eyes stung. "Yeah, I think you're right. Is that okay? That we like them? It's more than okay. It's perfect." That night after Noah fell asleep, Ethan pulled out the box he kept under his bed. The one with Sarah's things. Her wedding ring photos, the journal she'd kept during her pregnancy. He opened the journal to the last entry written 2 days before the accident. "I want Ethan to be happy. That's all I've ever wanted. If something happens to me, I need him to know it's okay to move on, to find love again, to let someone else into his and Noah's lives. He has so much love to give, too much to keep locked away in grief. So if you're reading this, my love, know that I'm giving you permission to live, to love, to be happy. You deserve it. You and Noah both deserve it." Ethan closed the journal, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything. For Noah, for 7 amazing years, for this." He put the journal back in the box, but this time he didn't feel like he was saying goodbye. He felt like Sarah was right there with him, pushing him forward, telling him to take the chance. So that's exactly what he was going to do. The next evening, Ethan stood in front of his closet, having a minor panic attack about what to wear to dinner. Everything was too casual, or too formal, or too something. Finally, he settled on dark jeans and a button-down shirt, then spent 20 minutes trying to remember how to style his hair. "You look nice, Dad," Noah said from the doorway. "Thanks, buddy. You sure you're okay with Mrs. Chen staying with you?" "Dad, I'm 7, not 2. I'll be fine." "Right. Yes, of course. Are you nervous? Is it that obvious? You've changed shirts 3 times." Ethan laughed. "Okay, yeah, I'm nervous. It's been a long time since I've been on a date." "Just be yourself. That's what Mom always said." "Your mom was very smart." "I know. That's why I'm smart too." Ethan hugged his son. "Love you, buddy." "Love you too. Have fun. But not too much fun." "Where did you even hear that?" "TV. Of course." Ethan grabbed his keys and wallet, said goodbye to Mrs. Chen, and drove to Claire's house with his heart hammering. This was ridiculous. He was 34 years old, not some teenager going on a first date. Except it felt exactly like that. Terrifying and exciting, and like everything could go wrong or perfectly right at any moment. Claire opened the door, and Ethan forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple dress, her hair down, minimal makeup. She was beautiful. "Hi," she said, smiling. "Hi. You look amazing. You clean up pretty well yourself. Ready?" "As I'll ever be." They went to a small Italian restaurant. Claire knew nothing fancy, but warm and intimate. They talked about everything and nothing, childhood stories and college memories and the weird journey that had brought them together. "I still can't believe you stopped," Claire said over dessert. "I've replayed that moment 1,000 times, wondering what would have happened if you'd walked past." "I couldn't walk past. That's not who I am." "I know. That's why I'm sitting here falling for you way too fast, considering how terrified I am of relationships." Ethan's heart skipped. You're falling for me. I have been since you ripped off your tie to save my life, but really since you brought Noah to the hospital and I saw how you looked at him, like he was your entire world. Claire reached across the table, took his hand. I want to be part of that world, Ethan, if you'll let me. I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of messing this up, scared of hurting Noah if things don't work out, scared of failing at yet another thing in my life. Then let's be scared together, and we'll figure it out as we go. Together. Together. They left the restaurant holding hands, and when Claire kissed him goodnight on her doorstep, soft and sweet and full of promise, Ethan thought maybe, just maybe, the universe had finally decided to give him a break. Maybe everything really was going to be okay. 3 months into his new job, Ethan's phone rang at 2 a.m. He fumbled for it in the dark, heart already racing because nothing good ever came from middle-of-the-night calls. Hello? Ethan, it's Bill Morrison from the infrastructure team. We have a problem. The Bayshore project just failed inspection. Structural integrity issues. The client is threatening to pull the contract. Ethan sat up, mind already running through possibilities. What kind of issues? Foundation settlement, stress fractures in the support columns. The inspector is saying the whole design is flawed. We need you downtown now. The client meeting is at 7, and if we don't have solutions, we lose a $20 million contract. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He dressed quickly, left a note for Noah, who was sleeping over at Mrs. Chen's, and drove through empty streets to the office. By the time he arrived, half the engineering team was already there, looking exhausted and panicked. Bill Morrison, a senior partner who'd been less than welcoming when Ethan started, looked relieved to see him. Walker, thank God. Look at these reports and tell me we're not completely screwed. Ethan spread the inspection documents across the conference table. Foundation settlement, stress fractures, design flaws. Except they weren't design flaws. They were construction errors. Someone had deviated from the specifications, cut corners, used substandard materials. This isn't a design problem, Ethan said after 20 minutes of reviewing everything. Look here. The specifications called for grade 60 steel. They used grade 40. And the concrete mix ratios are wrong. Someone changed the plans during construction. Are you sure? Bill asked. Positive. Get me the original construction logs, and I'll prove it. They worked through the night, Ethan identifying every deviation, every shortcut, every mistake. By 6 a.m, he had a complete report documenting that the design was sound, but the execution was flawed. More importantly, he had solutions. Reinforcement strategies, material replacements, structural modifications that could salvage the project. The client arrived at 7. A developer named Marcus Chen, who looked ready to murder someone, flanked by lawyers who looked eager to help. Gentlemen, Chen said coldly, I've invested $15 million in this project based on your firm's reputation. Now I have a building that might collapse. So tell me why I shouldn't sue you into oblivion and take my business elsewhere. Bill looked at Ethan. Ethan stood up, laptop in hand, and connected it to the projector. Mr. Chen, I'm Ethan Walker, Senior Structural Engineer. I've spent the last 5 hours reviewing every aspect of this project. The good news is that your building isn't going to collapse. The bad news is that the contractor deviated from our specifications in 17 critical areas. He walked Chen through everything: the steel grades, the concrete ratios, the foundation work. Then he showed the solutions: reinforcement schedules, material replacements, cost estimates. If we start immediately, we can correct everything within 6 weeks. Montgomery and Associates will cover the additional engineering costs. You'll only pay for materials and labor, and I'll personally oversee every phase to ensure no further deviations occur. Chen studied the presentation. You're telling me this is the contractor's fault, not your design? I'm telling you we have documented proof of specification deviations, and we have a solution that will result in a building that exceeds code requirements. Your choice is to fight this in court for 2 years or let us fix it in 6 weeks. And you'll personally guarantee the work. Ethan met his eyes. I'll stake my license on it. The room went silent. Staking your professional license was serious. If anything went wrong, Ethan's career was over. Bill grabbed his arm. Walker, you can't. I can and I am. Because I've done the math, reviewed the engineering, and I know this will work. Chen stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, 6 weeks. But if anything goes wrong, I'm coming after you personally. Fair enough. After Chen left, Bill pulled Ethan aside. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen. Little of both, probably. But the engineering is sound. You better be right, because if you're not, you just ended your career before it started. Bill paused. But for what it's worth, that was impressive. You just saved this firm from a lawsuit that would have destroyed us. The next 6 weeks were hell. Ethan was on site every day, sometimes 18 hours straight, checking every weld, every concrete pour, every structural element. He barely saw Noah except to tuck him in at night. Barely saw Claire, except for quick phone calls when he was too exhausted to form complete sentences. But the work was solid. Every repair, every reinforcement, every modification went exactly according to plan, and when the final inspection came, they passed with perfect scores. Chen called Ethan personally. I owe you an apology, Mr. Walker, and a thank you. That building is solid, better than solid. My inspectors say it's the best work they've seen in years. Just doing my job, Mr. Chen. No. You saved my investment, my reputation, and probably several lives. If you ever want to leave Montgomery and Associates, I'll double whatever they're paying you. Ethan laughed. I appreciate that, but I'm happy where I am. When he hung up, Bill Morrison was standing in his office doorway. The partners want to see you, Bill said. Ethan's stomach dropped. Is there a problem? Just come with me. They rode the elevator to the 42nd floor where the executive offices were. Ethan had never been up here. The conference room was intimidating, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city, a table that probably cost more than his car. 5 partners sat around that table, and Claire on crutches, but present, sitting at the head. Mr. Walker, one of the partners said, we've been reviewing your work on the Bayshore project. Here it comes, Ethan thought. They're going to fire me for overstepping. You took an enormous risk staking your license. You worked around the clock for 6 weeks. You personally prevented a lawsuit that would have cost this firm tens of millions of dollars. The partner smiled. We're promoting you to lead engineer. 20% raise, full project authority, your choice of assignments. Ethan couldn't speak, couldn't process what he was hearing. Claire was beaming. You earned this, Ethan. Every bit of it. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Bill said. Because working for you the last 6 weeks taught me more about engineering than the previous 20 years. You're brilliant, Walker. Own it. Yes. Okay. Yes. After the meeting, Claire caught up with him in the hallway. Congratulations. Told you you'd prove them all wrong. I can't believe this is happening. Believe it. You're exactly where you deserve to be. She glanced around, then lowered her voice. Dinner tonight. To celebrate my place, I'll cook. Well, I'll order takeout and pretend I cooked. I'd love that, but I need to pick up Noah first. I've barely seen him in weeks. Bring him. Emma's been asking about him constantly. Apparently they need to work on the robot before the science fair next week. Are you sure? Ethan, I want you both there. Always. That night, the 4 of them sat around Claire's dining room table, eating Thai food and celebrating. Noah was thrilled about Ethan's promotion. Emma was excited about the upcoming science fair, and for the first time in weeks, Ethan felt like he could breathe. Dad worked so hard, Noah said proudly. Mrs. Chen said he barely slept. That's because your dad is dedicated, Claire said, and brilliant, and stubborn. All of Mom's favorite words for him, Noah said, then froze. Sorry, is it weird that I talk about Mom? It's not weird at all, Claire said gently. Your mom was important. She'll always be important. You should talk about her. Emma talks about her dad sometimes, Noah said. Even though he left. That's different, though. Emma nodded. Mom says people leave in different ways. Some people die, some people choose to go. But missing them is the same. Your mom is very wise, Ethan said, looking at Claire. I have my moments. After dinner, the kids disappeared to work on their robot. Ethan helped Claire clean up, and they ended up on the couch. Claire's leg propped up Ethan beside her, both of them exhausted and content. I was terrified these last 6 weeks, Claire admitted. Every time you staked your career, every time you pushed yourself past exhaustion, I wanted to pull you back, make you slow down, but I couldn't. Why not? Because you needed to prove it, to yourself more than anyone, that you belong in that job, that you earned it. She took his hand. And you did. You absolutely did. I couldn't have done it without knowing you were there. You and Noah and Emma. Having something to come home to made the hard days bearable. Is that what this is, coming home? Ethan thought about it. About how Claire's house felt comfortable in a way his apartment never had. About how Noah laughed more here, relaxed more. About how he felt like himself here, not just the struggling single dad or the engineer trying to prove himself. Yeah, he said quietly. I think it is. Claire kissed him slow and sweet. Good. Because I was hoping you'd feel that way. The science fair arrived with the force of a hurricane. Emma was a nervous wreck, convinced their robot wouldn't work, that the judges would hate it, that everything would fall apart. Noah kept trying to reassure her, which only made her more anxious. This is my first real competition, Emma said the night before pacing Claire's living room. What if I mess up the presentation? What if the robot malfunctions? What if... Emma. Ethan knelt down to her level. Want to know a secret I threw up before every single presentation I gave in college? Every one. And I still managed to graduate top of my class. Really? Really? Being nervous means you care. That's good. Use that energy. Channel it into showing those judges how amazing your robot is. Our robot, Emma corrected. Noah helped. Our robot. Noah agreed. And it's going to be awesome. The next day, they all piled into Ethan's car and drove to the school hosting the competition. The gym was packed with projects, students, parents, judges. Emma's robot sat on their assigned table, looking somehow both impressive and fragile. I can't do this, Emma whispered as the first judge approached. Yes, you can, Claire said firmly. You're brilliant and prepared, and your project is amazing. Now show them what you've got. Emma took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and launched into her presentation. She explained the engineering principles, demonstrated the robot's functions, answered questions with confidence that grew with each word. The judge looked impressed. They repeated the process with 3 more judges. Each time, Emma got more confident, more animated. Noah watched from the sidelines, beaming with pride. When the award ceremony came, Emma was shaking. I won't win. There were so many good projects. You already won, Claire said. You built something amazing and presented it beautifully. That's what matters. 3rd place middle school division, the announcer said. Project titled Adaptive Response Robot by Emma Montgomery. Emma screamed. Actually screamed. Then she was running to the stage accepting a bronze medal and a certificate, grinning so wide her face had to hurt. She ran back and hugged Claire first, then Ethan, then Noah. We did it. We actually did it. You did it, Noah said. You were amazing up there. Couldn't have done it without you. On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, bronze medal clutched in her hand. Noah sat beside her, looking proud and happy. "Thank you," Claire said quietly to Ethan, "for encouraging her, for being there, for everything." "Are you kidding? That was one of the best days I've had in years." "Me too." Claire was quiet for a moment. "Ethan, can I ask you something?" "Always." "How would you feel about making this more official, us, I mean? Not just dating, but actually together. Committed." Ethan's heart raced. "Are you sure it's only been a few months?" "I'm sure. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I love you, Ethan. I love how you are with Noah, how you are with Emma, how you never give up even when everything's against you. I don't want to wait anymore to tell you that." "I love you too." Ethan said the words coming easier than he expected. "I've been falling for you since that first hospital visit. Maybe even since the alley. So that's a yes to being official, to telling people we're together. That's a yes to everything." They held hands the rest of the drive home. When they got to Claire's house, they transferred the sleeping kids to beds, then sat on the couch together. "We should talk about the future," Claire said. "About what this looks like long term." "What do you want it to look like?" "Honestly, I want you and Noah to move in here. I want us to be a family, but I know that's huge and terrifying and maybe too fast." Ethan thought about it. About Noah having his own room, a backyard, a sister figure in Emma. About coming home to Claire every night. About building something real and lasting. "It is huge and terrifying," he admitted. "But it's also what I want. What I think Noah wants too." "Really?" "Really. But we do it slow. Move in gradually, make sure the kids are comfortable, don't rush anything." "Slow? I can do slow." "Can you though?" Claire laughed. "I can try. With help." They talked for hours, making plans, discussing logistics, dreaming about the future. And when Ethan finally drove home with Noah sleeping in the back seat, he felt something he hadn't felt since before Sarah died. Complete, whole. Like all the broken pieces were finally coming together. The move happened over the next month. They didn't tell the kids right away, just gradually started moving Ethan's things to Claire's house. A box here, some furniture there. By the time they sat Noah and Emma down to officially tell them, most of Ethan's apartment was already packed. "So," Claire started nervously, "your dad and I have been talking." "About you guys living together?" Emma asked. "Finally, we've been waiting forever." Ethan blinked. "You knew." "Dad, you've been bringing stuff over for 3 weeks," Noah said. "We're not blind. And you're okay with it. Are you kidding?" Noah's face lit up. "I get my own room, and a backyard, and Emma." "I get a brother," Emma said. "Sort of. Close enough. This is the best." Claire looked at Ethan, tears in her eyes. "I think that's a yes. Definitely a yes." They made the move official the following weekend. Noah's room was next to Emma's, painted blue with stars on the ceiling that Ethan had spent 3 nights putting up. Their things mixed with Claire's, creating something new. Something that felt like home. That night, after the kids were asleep, Ethan and Claire stood in the backyard, looking at the stars. "I keep waiting for something to go wrong," Ethan admitted. "For this to be too good to be true." "What if it's not? What if this is just our life now, good and stable and happy? Then I'm the luckiest man alive." "We're both lucky. We found each other in the middle of chaos. Built something beautiful out of rubble." Ethan pulled her close. "Thank you. For taking a chance on me. For seeing something in me I didn't see in myself. Thank you for stopping, for staying, for being exactly who you are." They stood there for a long time holding each other, grateful for earthquakes and second chances and the strange ways life brought people together. Inside, Noah called out, "Dad, can you check for monsters?" Ethan laughed. "Some things never change. I'll be right back." He went inside to check for monsters to tuck in his son, to live this ordinary, extraordinary life he'd somehow been given. And when he came back downstairs, Claire was still in the yard, looking at the stars. "Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect," she said. "Absolutely perfect." And for the first time in 3 years, Ethan believed it. The next morning, Ethan's phone rang while he was making breakfast. An unknown number. "Mr. Walker, this is David Chen. We met when my father Marcus hired your firm for the Bayshore project." "I remember. How can I help you?" "I'm starting my own development company. Residential buildings, small commercial projects. I've seen your work. I want to hire you." "I appreciate that, but I'm with Montgomery and Associates." "I know. I'm not asking you to leave. I'm asking if you'd consult. Independent contractor, your own terms, projects you choose. My father says you're the best engineer he's worked with. I need the best." Ethan looked at Claire, making coffee at Noah and Emma, arguing over cereal choices at this life he'd built. "Let me think about it. Can I call you back?" "Take your time. But I hope you'll say yes. We need people who care as much as you do." After hanging up, Ethan told Claire about the offer. "You should do it," she said immediately. "It's a conflict of interest. I work for your company. You work for Montgomery and Associates. I'm just one partner. And I think you starting your own consulting business on the side is brilliant. You'd have freedom, flexibility, the ability to choose projects that matter to you." "Are you sure?" "Ethan, stop asking permission to be successful. You've earned this. Every opportunity, every success, every good thing. Earn it by accepting it." He called David Chen back that afternoon and said yes. Within 6 months, Walker Engineering Solutions was born. Small projects at first, consulting work, but each one led to another. Ethan's reputation grew. The engineer who saved the Bayshore project, who started his own firm, who put integrity before profit. Claire supported him every step. Helped with business plans, introduced him to clients, celebrated every success. And when things got hard, when Ethan doubted himself or worried about failing, she reminded him who he was. The man who stopped when others ran. The man who saved lives. The man who built something beautiful from nothing. That man could do anything. 2 years after the earthquake, Ethan stood in his home office at 3 in the morning, staring at his computer screen with growing horror. The numbers didn't lie. Walker Engineering Solutions was failing. Not slowly, not gradually, catastrophically. He had taken on too many projects, spread himself too thin, trusted the wrong partner on a major development deal. That partner had vanished with $200,000 of client funds, leaving Ethan holding the bag. The lawsuits were coming. His reputation was about to be destroyed. Everything he'd built was crumbling. And he had no idea how to tell Claire. "Ethan." He jumped. Claire stood in the doorway in her pajamas, hair messy from sleep concern etched on her face. "What are you doing up?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep. Work stuff." She crossed the room, looked at his screen. Her face went pale. "Oh my God. Ethan, what happened?" "Marcus, my partner on the Riverside project. He's gone. Took the escrow funds, disappeared. The clients are threatening to sue me for breach of contract." "How much?" $200,000, plus potential damages, plus legal fees. Ethan's voice cracked. "I'm ruined, Claire. Everything I built, it's all gone." Claire sat down heavily. "Why didn't you tell me things were this bad?" "Because you warned me about Marcus. You said he was shady, that I should do more due diligence, and I didn't listen. I thought I knew better." He laughed bitterly. "Turns out I'm not as smart as everyone thinks." "Stop that. This isn't about being smart. You were defrauded." "I was stupid. I signed contracts without proper oversight. I trusted someone I shouldn't have. This is on me." "Okay. Okay." Claire was thinking, her mind already working through solutions. "We hire a lawyer. We go after Marcus. There's no money for a lawyer. I put everything into this business. Our savings, the emergency fund, everything. We're broke, Claire. Worse than broke. We're in debt. The silence that followed was deafening. How much debt? Claire asked quietly. 300,000. Between the missing funds, the lawsuits, and the business loans I took out. Ethan couldn't look at her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have been more careful. Should have listened to you. Does Noah know? God, no. I can't tell him. Can't tell him we're losing everything again. Claire stood up, walked to the window. We'll figure this out. How I can't pay you back. Can't pay anyone back. My business is finished. My reputation is destroyed. I'll probably lose my engineering license over this. His voice broke. I finally had everything. A family, a home, success. And I threw it all away. You didn't throw anything away. You were the victim of fraud. I was careless, reckless. I got cocky and thought I could handle everything myself. Claire turned to face him. Listen to me. We will figure this out. Together. That's what we do. I can't ask you to fix my mistakes. You're not asking. I'm offering. We're partners, Ethan. In everything. This could destroy you too. Your reputation, your career. People will say you're involved, that Montgomery and Associates is complicit. Let them say it. I don't care. You should care. You've worked your whole life to build what you have. And what I have is you. You and Noah and Emma and this family we built. That matters more than any reputation or career. She came back to him, took his hands. We'll get through this, but you have to let me help. Ethan wanted to argue, wanted to shoulder this alone, protect her from the fallout. But he was drowning, and she was offering him a lifeline. Okay, he whispered. Okay. They spent the rest of the night going through everything. Every contract, every email, every transaction. By sunrise, they had a clear picture of the disaster, and Claire had a plan. First, we hire the best fraud attorney in California. I know someone. She owes me a favor. I can't afford. I can. Let me do this. Claire. Ethan. Please, let me help. He nodded, too exhausted to fight. Second, we file a police report. Marcus committed fraud. That's criminal, not just civil. We make sure he faces consequences. He's probably in another country by now. Maybe, but we try anyway. Third, we talk to your clients. Explain what happened. Most of them are reasonable people. They'll understand. They'll sue me anyway. Some will, some won't. But we give them the chance to understand before we assume the worst. Claire squeezed his hands. Fourth, and this is important, you tell Noah. No, I can't put this on him. He's 10 years old, Ethan. He's not a baby, and he's going to know something's wrong. Better he hears it from you than figures it out on his own. I promised Sarah I'd protect him, give him stability. And you have. For 3 years you've given him everything. One setback doesn't erase that. Ethan knew she was right. But the thought of seeing disappointment in Noah's eyes, of admitting he'd failed again, made him want to disappear. That evening, after Emma went to her room to do homework, Ethan sat Noah down in the living room. Claire stayed a steady presence beside him. Buddy, I need to talk to you about something serious. Noah's face went worried. Is someone sick? Did someone die? No, nothing like that. It's about work. About my business. Ethan took a breath. I made some mistakes. Trusted someone I shouldn't have. And now we're in trouble financially. How much trouble? A lot. We might lose the business. Might have to sell some things. Things are going to be tight for a while. Noah was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Are we going to be okay? I don't know, buddy. I'm going to try my best to fix this. Are you and Claire breaking up? What? No. Why would you think that? Because that's what happened with Emma's parents. Her dad left when things got hard. Claire spoke up. Noah, I'm not going anywhere. Neither is your dad. We're a family. Families stick together when things get hard. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Ethan confirmed. Noah thought about this. Then he stood up, went to his room, and came back carrying a piggy bank. "I have $217. You can have it." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "Buddy, I can't take your money." "Why not?" "You always say families help each other, so I'm helping." Noah set the piggy bank on the coffee table. "Mom would want me to help too." Ethan pulled Noah into a hug, holding him tight while trying not to cry. This kid, this incredible, generous, beautiful kid. "Thank you," he managed to say. "But you keep your money. I'll figure this out." "Promise?" "Promise." The next weeks were brutal. The lawyer Claire hired was excellent, but confirmed what Ethan already knew. Marcus had covered his tracks well. He was in Mexico, probably with the money safely hidden. Recovering the funds would take years and might never happen. Meanwhile, lawsuits started arriving. 3 clients sued for breach of contract. 2 more threatened to, unless Ethan personally made them whole. The legal fees alone were crushing. Ethan worked constantly, taking every consulting job he could find, trying to generate enough income to start paying people back. He was exhausted, stressed, barely sleeping. But he kept going, because that's what you did. You faced your mistakes and tried to fix them. One afternoon his phone rang. Bill Morrison from Montgomery and Associates. "Walker, we need to talk." Ethan's stomach sank. "About what?" "Your situation. It's become public knowledge. Some of our clients are uncomfortable with your continuing involvement in their projects." "I understand. I'll withdraw from those projects." "There's more. The partners are concerned about the association between your firm and ours. They're asking me to talk to you about potentially stepping back from Montgomery and Associates entirely." The words hit like a punch. "You're firing me." "We're asking you to take a leave of absence until this gets resolved." "That's the same thing, Bill. You know it is." "I'm sorry, Ethan. I fought for you. Claire fought for you. But the other partners voted. There's nothing we can do." After hanging up, Ethan sat in his car in the parking garage and let himself break down. Everything was gone. His business, his job, his reputation. All the success he'd built, all the respect he'd earned, destroyed in weeks. He called Claire. "They fired me." "What?" "They can't do that." "They can. Leave of absence, but we both know I'm not coming back." "I'll talk to them. I'll make them understand." "Don't, please. I don't want you fighting my battles. This is my mess." "Ethan." "I need to go. I'll be home later." He drove aimlessly for hours, trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong so fast. He'd done everything right. Worked hard, been honest, tried to help people, and still he'd failed. Still, he'd lost everything. When he finally got home, it was after midnight. The house was dark except for the kitchen light. Claire sat at the table with a laptop and a stack of papers. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Research. I've been looking into Marcus, tracking his movements, his associates, his patterns. And I found something." Claire, the lawyer, already looked into this. The lawyer looked at the legal options. I'm looking at the investigative options, and I found a paper trail. Transactions he made before he disappeared. Payments to shell companies. I think I can trace where the money went. What good does that do? We still can't get it back. Maybe not all of it, but some. Enough to pay back your clients, settle the lawsuits. I have contacts, Ethan. People who specialize in asset recovery. If we can prove where the money is, we can freeze it, start legal proceedings. Ethan sat down heavily. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I love you. Because you'd do the same for me. Because this family doesn't give up. I've destroyed everything. Your peace, your stability, your reputation. You should walk away while you still can." Claire reached across the table, grabbed his hand. "I'm not walking away. I didn't survive an earthquake and being crushed under concrete just to walk away from the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm not the best thing. I'm a disaster. You're human. You made a mistake. That doesn't erase everything else you are. The man who saved my life. The father who would do anything for his son. The engineer who puts people before profit. That's who you are, Ethan. One mistake doesn't change that. What if we can't fix this? What if I can't pay everyone back? Then we start over. We've both done it before. We can do it again. Together. Ethan looked at this woman who'd somehow seen through all his failures to something worth keeping. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Lucky for you, I'm terrible at making rational decisions. She smiled. Now come look at this. Tell me if these transactions look suspicious to you. They worked through the night tracing Marcus's financial footprints. And Claire was right. There was a trail. Faint, but there. By morning, they had enough to take to the fraud investigator. The investigator was intrigued. This is good work, really good. If we can prove these accounts belong to him, we can start recovery proceedings. How long will that take? Ethan asked. Months, maybe a year. But there's something else you should know. One of these shell companies, it has funds in a U.S. bank. That means we can potentially freeze those assets immediately. It's not the full $200,000, but it's something. How much? About $75,000. It wasn't everything. But it was hope. Real tangible hope. The freeze went through within a week. $75,000 recovered and placed in escrow pending the investigation. Ethan immediately contacted his clients, offered settlements, using the recovered funds. 2 accepted. 1 agreed to drop the lawsuit in exchange for partial payment and a promissory note for the rest. It wasn't perfect. Ethan was still in debt, still facing 1 remaining lawsuit. But it was progress. And after weeks of watching everything fall apart, progress felt like a miracle. Montgomery and Associates quietly asked him back. Bill Morrison called personally. The partners reconsidered. Claire made a compelling argument about your value to the firm. If you're willing to return, we'd like to have you. Ethan thought about it. Thought about the partners who'd abandoned him the moment things got hard. Thought about the firm that had given him his start, but now felt tainted. Thank you, but no. I think it's time I stood on my own. Are you sure the salary, the benefits? I'm sure. But I appreciate everything Montgomery and Associates did for me. After hanging up, Claire looked at him questioningly. You turned them down? I did. Why? Because I don't want to build my career on someone else's foundation anymore. I want to build something that's mine. Something I can be proud of regardless of what anyone else thinks. Even if it's harder. Especially if it's harder. Claire kissed him. I love you, you stubborn idiot. Love you too. Walker Engineering Solutions slowly came back to life. Ethan was more careful this time, did his due diligence, never took on more than he could handle. He worked with contractors he trusted, clients who valued integrity over profit, projects that mattered. The business grew slowly. No dramatic success, no overnight wins. Just steady, honest work that built a reputation, 1 project at a time. 6 months later, Noah's school called about a science fair. Emma was entering again and Noah wanted to help. Can I, Dad, please? Emma has this idea for a water filtration system, and I know how to build the prototype. And, of course you can, buddy. They worked on it for weeks. The 4 of them gathered around the dining room table most evenings. Building, testing, revising. It reminded Ethan of that first robot, of how far they'd all come since then. The night before the science fair, Noah asked, Dad, are we okay now, with money and everything? We're getting there, still paying off debts, still rebuilding, but we're okay. Good, because I like our life. I don't want it to change. Me either, buddy. The science fair was a success. Emma won first place with their water filtration system. Noah cheered louder than anyone, proud of his sister's achievement, even though he couldn't officially be part of it. On the drive home, Emma asked, Mom, are you and Ethan going to get married? Claire nearly drove off the road. What? You guys live together, raise us together, love each other. Isn't that what married people do? In the back seat, Noah nodded enthusiastically. Emma and I talked about it. We think you should get married. Then we'd be a real family. We're already a real family, Ethan said carefully. Yeah, but like officially, with a wedding and everything. Claire and Ethan exchanged glances. They'd talked about marriage in abstract terms someday eventually, but hearing the kids ask about it made it suddenly real. That's something your mom and I would need to discuss, Ethan said. So discuss it, Emma said. We'll wait. That night after the kids finally went to bed, Ethan and Claire sat on the back patio. So, Claire said, marriage. Marriage. What do you think? I think I love you. I think we're already committed to each other. I think a piece of paper wouldn't change anything important. But I also think Noah deserves to see that sometimes things work out, that sometimes people stay, that commitment is real and lasting. Is that a yes? Ethan thought about Sarah, about the 7 years they had together, about the promise he made to give Noah a good life. Sarah would want this, would want him to find happiness, to give Noah a complete family to move forward. Yeah, he said quietly. That's a yes. Claire's smile was radiant. Should we make it official? Ask them properly? Let's surprise them, make it special. 2 weeks later, Ethan took Noah to breakfast. Just the two of them, their usual Saturday morning tradition. Buddy, I need to ask you something important. Okay. How would you feel if Claire and I got married, if Emma officially became your sister? Noah's face lit up like sunrise. Really, you're really going to marry her? If you're okay with it. Dad, I've been okay with it forever. I love Claire. I love Emma. I want us to be a family forever. Me too, buddy, me too. Meanwhile, Claire took Emma shopping. So, she started casually. How would you feel about a wedding? Emma stopped walking. You're getting married. If you're comfortable with it. Mom, I've been hoping for this since the day I met them. Ethan is amazing. Noah is the best brother I could ask for. Please, please get married. Okay then, let's start planning. The wedding was small. Just close friends, family, the kids. They held it in Claire's backyard, the same backyard where Ethan had first realized he was falling in love. Noah was the best man, Emma the maid of honor. Both kids cried happy tears during the vows. I promise to be your partner in everything, Ethan said, holding Claire's hands. To support you, challenge you, love you through whatever comes. You saved me in that alley. Let me spend the rest of my life being grateful for that. I promise to stand beside you, Claire said. To believe in you even when you doubt yourself. To build a life together that honors everyone we've lost and everything we've found. You showed me what it means to truly help someone. Let me help you every day for the rest of our lives. When they kissed, the kids cheered. When they turned to face their guests, as a married couple, Noah and Emma stood with them, completing the family. At the reception, Bill Morrison approached Ethan. Congratulations, you look happy. I am, really happy. Listen, I wanted to apologize for how the firm handled things when you were struggling. We should have stood by you. It's okay. I understand the position you were in. Still, you deserved better. Bill paused. For what it's worth, you've built something impressive with your independent firm. Everyone in the industry talks about your integrity, your innovation. You're successful on your own terms. That's rare. Thank you. That means a lot. After Bill walked away, Claire appeared beside Ethan. What was that about? Just tying up loose ends, letting go of old resentments. Good, because we have a whole future to focus on now. Ethan looked at his new wife, his children laughing together, the friends and family celebrating with them. He thought about the earthquake that had started everything, about the choice he made in that alley, about all the paths that had led to this moment. You know what's funny, he said. If I'd made that interview, if everything had gone according to plan, I never would have met you. Never would have had this family. Never would have built the life I have now. So you're saying the worst day of your life led to the best days. Something like that. Claire leaned her head on his shoulder. The universe works in mysterious ways. Apparently so. Noah and Emma ran over, both talking at once about the cake, about dancing, about staying up late, since it was a special occasion. Ethan pulled them both into a hug, this family he'd somehow been given against all odds. Later that night, after the guests had left and the kids had finally collapsed into bed, Ethan stood in the backyard looking at the stars. Claire joined him, still in her wedding dress. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Sarah, wishing she could have been here to see this, to see Noah so happy. "I think she was here, in spirit." "Yeah, I think so too." Ethan turned to Claire. "Thank you. For taking a chance on me. For believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. For giving Noah and me a home. Thank you for stopping in that alley. For saving my life. For being exactly who you are." They stood there together, two people who'd found each other in the chaos, who'd built something beautiful from rubble and second chances. The next morning, Noah came running into their room at dawn. "Dad, Claire, Emma, and I had the best idea." "This can't wait until a reasonable hour," Claire mumbled. "No. We want to plant a garden, like a real garden with flowers and vegetables. Emma says we should plant yellow roses, because those were Noah's mom's favorite, and I said we should plant sunflowers because those are what we're learning about in science, and we both think it would be perfect in the corner by the fence." Ethan and Claire looked at each other. Then Ethan nodded. "Okay, let's do it." "Really?" Noah bounced on the bed. "When can we start?" "How about today? We'll go to the garden center, pick out everything we need. Best day ever." That afternoon, all four of them worked in the yard, digging, planting, creating something that would grow and bloom for years to come. Yellow roses for Sarah's memory. Sunflowers for new beginnings. Vegetables they'd nurture together. As Ethan patted soil around a rosebush, he thought about everything they'd survived. The earthquake. The financial disaster. The fear and uncertainty and near misses with catastrophe. But they'd made it through. Together. Building something stronger than any one of them could have built alone. "Dad," Noah said, holding a sunflower seedling carefully. "Do you think Mom would like our family?" Ethan looked at Claire, helping Emma with her roses at the house behind them, full of laughter and love at this life they'd all created together. "Yeah, buddy. I think she'd love it. I think she'd be really proud of us." "Me too." They finished the garden as the sun set, dirt under their fingernails, tired and happy. And when they went inside for dinner, tracking mud through the house and laughing about it, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Complete and total peace. That night, after everyone else was asleep, Ethan went back outside to the garden. He knelt by the yellow roses, touched the soft petals. "I kept my promise, Sarah," he whispered. "I gave him a good life. The best life I could. I hope you're proud. I hope wherever you are you can see how amazing he's become. How happy we all are." A breeze rustled through the roses, warm and gentle. And Ethan chose to believe it was Sarah's answer, her blessing, her way of saying, "Yes, you did good. You did exactly right." He stood up, brushed off his knees, and went back inside. To his wife, his children, his home. To the life he'd somehow been given, despite every obstacle, every mistake, every reason it shouldn't have worked. Real love doesn't walk away, he thought, remembering the words from so long ago. It kneels in the dust, holds your hand and stays. And he had stayed. Through everything he'd stayed. That's what mattered. That's what made a family. Not blood or perfection or doing everything right. Just showing up, staying, choosing each other every single day. Tomorrow the roses would bloom, the sunflowers would grow, and the family would be there together to see it. That was enough. More than enough. That was everything.